I definitely expect fiat currencies to continue to exist and continue to be strong, and I definitely expect kind of fiat currencies to also digitize in their own way over the next couple of decades. Things like US dollars and like dollars and euros and yen and these other things. But I also expect cryptocurrencies to play this kind of important role in just making sure that people always have an alternative if fiat currencies start breaking. If you're in some kind of very high inflation place like Venezuela, for example, or country just kind of gets cut off from other financial systems because of like something the banks do, like if there's even like some major trade disruption or something worse happens, then cryptocurrencies are the sort of thing that just because of their kind of global neutrality, they're just kind of always there and you can keep using them. It's definitely very possible. I think like for cryptocurrencies being main value to kind of work well, you do need to have much more price stability than they have today. And I mean, there are now stable coins and there are kind of cryptocurrencies that try to be more stable than existing things like Bitcoin and Ether, but that just is, to me, the main challenge. I think it's a combination of two things, right? One is it's still early days, but the other is a kind of more durable any kind of economic problem, which is that like demand for currency is volatile, right? Because of like recessions, booms, changes to technology, lots of things, and if people's demand for how much currency they want to hold changes. And if you have a currency that has a fixed supply, then the change in demand has to be entirely expressed as a change in value of the currency. So what that means is that kind of the volatility of demand becomes entirely translated into volatility in kind of prices of things denominated in that currency. But if you have a currency where instead the supply can change, and so the supply can kind of go up when there's more demand, then you have the supply kind of absorbing more of that volatility, and so the price of the currency would absorb less of the volatility. And it's a bit more flexible, but kind of the thing that you would really want is something that's kind of specifically flexible in response to how valuable the currency is. And I'd recommend to look at stable coins as well, so like things like DAI, for example. It's a type of cryptocurrency that's issued by a smart contract, one of these Ethereum computer programs, that where the smart contract holds a bunch of ether, and then it basically like that people deposit, and then it issues DAI, and the reason why people deposit is because they want to kind of go high leverage on their ether, and so it kind of pairs these two sets of users, one that wants stability and one that kind of wants extra risk, together with each other, and it basically creates or gives one set of participants a guarantee that they have this asset that can be later converted back into ether, but like specifically at kind of the $1 rate. I think you do need to just know the specific kind of just people to follow. Like there's all the kind of the cryptographers and the researchers, and there's just like even just the Ethereum research crew, like myself, like Dankrad, Danny, Justin, none of the other people, and of the academic cryptographers. And I came this today. I was at Stanford. Stanford has the Center for Blockchain Research, and of Dan Bonnet, that's kind of really famous and great cryptographer, running it. And there's a lot of other people there, and there's people working on like zero knowledge proofs, for example. Zuko from Zcash is kind of one other person that I kind of respect.
Thanks to the power of modern communication, we have the ability to create technologies that are decentralized, removing middlemen and allowing users to interact with each other directly through a global network. Decentralized applications have been becoming more and more important in the past 10 years, and have the benefits of massively reducing costs and barriers to entry, removing single points of failure, preventing censorship, and ensuring transparency and trust between all the parties involved in an interaction. BitTorrent, a file-sharing network developed in the early 2000s, is arguably the first decentralized application to have been created. BitTorrent allows anyone to share any kind of file with anyone else in the world, allowing people to distribute content quickly and easily, even if they do not have the resources to pay for their own website or server. 5 years later, Satoshi Nakamoto came up with the idea of a blockchain, a sort of distributed database, and used it to build Bitcoin, the world's first decentralized currency. Decentralized currencies like Bitcoin allow people to send money instantly anywhere around the world with no regard for national borders with negligible fees. Bitcoin is increasingly being used for international remittances, micropayments, and commerce online. Decentralized applications for finance, cloud computing, messaging, and distributed governance are soon to come. Ethereum is a platform that is specifically designed for people to build these kinds of decentralized applications, or dApps for short. The Ethereum client, which we are calling the Ether browser, will include a built-in peer-to-peer network for sending messages, and a generalized blockchain with a built-in programming language, allowing people to use the blockchain for any kind of decentralized application that they want to create. Ethereum can be used to build financial applications that are fully trustworthy and transparent because they run on the blockchain. Online, cryptographically secure systems for managing your property and contracts. Social networking and messaging systems that allow users to maintain control of their own data. Systems for trading underutilized computational resources like CPU time and hard drive space. And eventually tools for online voting and distributed governance. And the most exciting applications of Ethereum are probably the ones that we have not even thought of. As with all new platforms for innovation, like the protocols that underlie the internet itself, it is not always easy to predict what they're going to be used for. Gmail, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and the modern internet as a whole are all a result of early developments in the World Wide Web and JavaScript, the programming language of the World Wide Web, from the 1990s. Similarly, by providing a universal programmable blockchain and packaging it up into a client that anyone can use, the Ethereum project hopes to do the same for finance, peer-to-peer commerce, distributed governance, and human collaboration as a whole.
So Ethereum 2.0 is a collection of major upgrades that we've wanted to do to Ethereum for quite some time. The two big ones, one is proof of stake and the other is what we call sharding. Sharding solves another problem with blockchains, which is scalability. And what sharding does is it basically says, instead of every participant in the network having to personally download and verify every transaction, every participant in the network only downloads and verifies a small portion of transactions. And then you kind of randomly distribute who gets how much work. And because of how the distribution is random, it still has the property that you need a large portion of the entire network to corrupt what's going on inside of any shard, but the system is still kind of very redundant and very secure.